What happened? Well, hello guys. Where are we? This doesn't look like my base. Oh, because if you've seen the title of this video, you probably know why we are in a different realm, actually. Yeah, gave you a hint there, but we'll talk about this soon enough. Yeah, so this is my second series, which will replace my normal Let's Play videos this week. I just can't do 2 videos a week. I don't have that amount of time at my disposal. So for this week I've chosen to start off this series. Just see a little bit about you guys and what you think about it. Just let me arrange myself in my chair here. Yeah. So this series is in the future probably not going to be much about Minecraft. But in the beginning we are going to use Minecraft as a tool for a visual tool to explain a little bit about what we're actually going to work with later. So this is my Minecraft programming tutorial, or what we're going to call it. Many of you, or if some of you are programmers, you might not agree with me on some things I say and so on. Please give me input on what you think. But I'm going to do this at the level I'm at in programming. I feel like I can at least teach people something about it, even though I'm not yet have it as my occupation. I'm actually right now having 3 companies that have shown interest in me. But as I said, I've yet still to actually work with it for a living. And when you get into a real company, you get more experience, so to speak, because you share with your colleagues and so on, and you get introduced to techniques that you don't find in any tutorials and so on. Of course, I do a lot of programming on my free time as well. Right now I'm learning the framework CakePOP, and I'm not sure if we are going to use PHP or C#. The problem with PHP is that it's more towards the or it's completely made for doing web applications, and the setup of local host server and so on might be a little bit overcourse for the beginning of this series. and that's why I shy away from it a bit and think that C# might be a better language, as it comes with a compiler that you just run your programs through and you're done. And the reason why I've chosen a super flat world and creative world is because I don't have the focus here is programming and not getting by in Minecraft. So that's why I did this choice. And let's start with what we are going to do here today. Yes, the Great Wall of Booleans are what we are going to talk about today. Of course, it's not called Great Wall of Booleans. That's just my name for this wall here. But these types of blocks, or what you wanna call them, in Minecraft are acting like Booleans. And the false, true, false, 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 false here corresponds to their default state. This is by default false, as it is closed. I see we are missing one here. We just do like that. And we might do the door as well here. So, if you put a redstone, for example, beside this door, which makes the variable open, or make the door change a state, simply, we should probably say. If you change the state of the door from its default value, it opens, and that means that it is false by default, and true when you apply a power to it. Either that or just pressing it, of course. So this is what the Boolean is. It only got two values. It's either true or it's false. And that's what defines Boolean. I don't know if the English speaking of you are more familiar with Booleans, maybe. But I thought I would go through this first. And this is because it is a type, and that is what we are going to talk about in the first few episodes, actually, because there are a great many types, and we are going to learn how they work. This, of course, this is true by default, and the way to change it from its state, you need to apply power to it, and it changes state to false. Same, of course, this lever, you see in its default state the torch is still on, which means it got no power to it, which means this is set in the off position or false position, and if you click it, it turns true. Same goes with all of these, really. I don't know if I need to go any further with this. This is pretty simple. We also got the redstone block here. Why isn't this here? Well, because it is a constant. the type of constant, which we are going to talk about later. We are probably not going to cover that in this episode. This episode will probably also be quite short, but might make them longer in the future. This is just a really slow start to the series, so to speak. So what is this wall back here, you're probably wondering now? Well, let's look up so you don't see. Machine language. Binary. Yes. And what is binary? Well, a binary is a bunch of trues and false values, and is the default language of your computer. It speaks in true or false. Everything is true or false for a computer, and this has to do with that it is an electrical device, simply put. And in that case, these true and false values are true, then it lets power through the circuit. If it's false, it doesn't. And this is how the computer works with everything you do on it. And an example of this that you use every day, if you sit by the computer every day, of course, is letters. Letters, yes. So here we have hi, capitalized. This is actually important for the computer, we are going to see soon. So, how does a computer think your hi looks that you write to it? It sees it as 01001000, which is H. And after that, 01001001, which prints I, and that is hi. Yeah, so now you learned how a computer speaks. Maybe you knew this before, maybe you didn't, and you learned something. This, of course, is the lowest level of how it speaks in the core units of the computer. The one step higher up is called hexadecimals, which actually includes letters in them. And the step after that is your ASCII. Let me just print here for you guys. And I failed on what I wanted to do. Next level is hexadecimal, which you can sometimes see in flags for programming. Sometimes they use hexadecimal values. They do in programming. We never ever use this part, basically because it's unreadable for a human and would seriously damage the workflow. Next up was the highest level, as ASCII. This you probably see quite often, which is a table of values. Probably need to explain this. I'm thinking about the non-English speaking countries which don't have it as a main language. So table is like this. So if you have a value of for to say redstone, then you have that redstone means, yes, let's take this fluffy thing. Redstone mean this. We don't really need that big of a table to actually show this. Like that. So you have a value of redstone which is linked to or a key, we call this. The first index number, which in this case is redstone, is the key to the value of what's this called now again? Sponge. Is the value is sponge, and the key for the value is redstone. So if you put in that you wanted the redstone value, you would get a sponge. So that is how table works. And of course you can continue this with for example, that sponge give you redstone, and so on. So that is a table. It's bus terminals and so on often have their time schedule in a table and so on. So now you're probably familiar with what a table is. And the last thing here, high, in lowercase, which is 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, and 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1. Yeah. And if you think about using this as an encryption method to your messages, you can be pretty sure that someone will read that, because it's quite a known fact that there are converters for these, and it's quite easy to convert from text to binary. It's not a very secure thing to use as an encryption method. But as you see here, the values differs quite a lot. For here we got 10 instead of 0, 0, and we got an extra, don't we? It's 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0. Yeah, we got an extra here. And that's how a computer actually sees what you write and can differ from them if it's capital or not. And that's about what I have to tell you here. Next up is the part on my computer where we show this in an actual language. See you soon in my little development environment, and welcome to my environment. Yes, what environment should you use? Well, you should use the simplest text editor you can find, if you ask me, because we are going to use the most basic here in the beginning to really teach you everything. And if you think I'm going too fast forward, like I just recorded the Minecraft part of this episode, and think that I'm speaking too fast or too mind wobbly, please tell me in the comments. And also, if you like it, you can of course tell me about that too. But right now you should find your notepad. I don't know what Mac calls it. We are using Kate here, which is a Linux program that works like Notepad. And we are going to start off by printing using system and a semicolon. Okay, which means we are telling the computer here that we want to use a file called the system. And if you have some type of .NET, we are actually using C# here. And if you got .NET installed on your computer, this file will be on your computer, so it shouldn't have any problem with actually finding this. Next up, we are going to be very nice here to the program and actually write name space Boolean. No, we call it Boolean testing, like that. And then we do 2 brackets like this. I'm not sure what they're called in English actually, but you probably recognize them. And this is telling the program that we want to make a namespace, which is called the Boolean testing. And this namespace confines everything we write within it. So, well, really it creates a program environment. I don't really know how to say explain it really, but if you have many files where you are programming and you want them to become one single application, all those files should have the namespace Boolean testing. And if they have that, you don't need to use this using we used up here. It actually finds all of those files and their methods, which we are going to talk about right now, in there. So next up is we are going to do a private void main, and we are going to add another thing here, str thread. And all of the things I'm doing right now should just go straight through one ear and out the other, because this is too advanced for this first part. But I'm showing you this so that you actually will get it to compile. This is just what it actually requires. if you have like Visual Studio or something, a real development environment, all the things I've written here is actually written as soon as you start the application and start writing code. However, I needed to do this as we do it in a notepad-like environment. Okay, guys. So I just did a little pause there. I was looking through a few things just so that I'm not lying to you in any way. Within this we can also do another one here, which we're going to use quite a bit later on, which is called a class. That's all you need to know, really. A Boolean yeah. Maybe we are going to call it like this, Boolean. Yeah, here you can see this feature your notepad doesn't have. We have it in KTR. It pops up Boolean testing here, which is the namespace you see up here. And that is what is so good with namespaces. Because if you want to get to this class Boolean, you write Boolean testing dot Boolean at the moment, as it is at the moment. No, number 1, we just call this one. Then we have another thing I need to tell you about here. This is just my OCD. Sorry, guys. So, yeah. And here you see the structure. That is because you see the structure of the code much better this way. As you see here, we got the namespace and the class, and then we get this private, which should be static void main, and this is this got these two here, the brackets. My English won't cooperate with me today, actually. But you know these brackets which are used in math and so on, right? Why are they only here? Well, this is because this is a method. In some languages called a function. If you know math, you know what a function is. If you don't know math, we are going to tell you what a function is in this episode as well. Well, a function is a predefined way of well, getting a result. So if you put in a number in a function and that function is defined, it will take the number you put in, go through the functions, all functionalities, of course, and then output something. And that is what a function does. We shall see here what I mean with this by printing application init. And here we got a class called application coming from the namespace system, which has a method called init, which we are calling. And last in this, we're going to call application run, which is another function method, whatever you want to call it, that it has. And between these, we are going to write console.write line, and we do no more than that, because what did we talk about in the beginning of this? Well, we talked about Booleans. Bool. And that's how you do it in a programming language. You write bool. And then we call this our test. Where should we save it? We save it here, I feel like. Boolean. So, and we call this bool test. CS. This is important for you. Call it whatever you want, but stop it with .cs and filter all files. This is important for you who have options of text file or whatever. I think if I remove CS here, we might have, no, didn't actually get any more suggestions, but in Notepad you would by default get .txt. Use all files, as I said, on the filter or file type. I don't remember what it's called in Windows. The file type should be all files, which this is, but in Swedish. Then you append .cs. Otherwise it will become .cs.txt, which will not work. And we press save. Okay guys, we are back. We are not yet going to compile this because we have a few things here I've tricked you on actually. Here we need to write like this, that our test is equal to a new bool, and extend it with those again. And in the last one here, we are not going to call toString because it actually moved from there to convert toString, and like that, and we write our test. Okay, that should be all. And now we are going to go here and into the Boolean, and we're going to take up another one, and this is called a terminal here, and this is just Linux things, but it's almost the same in Windows. What you are going to do is called the command prompt. I hope you know where to find it. It should be in the Start menu, Programs, Accessories, and then I think it's in there. Yeah. I think I guided the Windows users right here. And then cdc project. Yeah, we are simply going to navigate to the folder Boolean. Actually, now we can take this one and use this as we had here, gmcs booltest.cs minus pkg normal colon, not semicolon, gtk dash or minus sharp minus 2.0, and we run that. And what happened? Well, let's look in our Boolean catalog, and here we got booltest.exe. So let's see what this does. Well, here is the thing. If you do this on a Windows computer, I believe the only thing you need to do is be in the project catalog, as you see we are here in the project catalog, and then write booltest.exe in this one. The command prompt. If you are not in the command prompt, there will just be flicker because we haven't actually told it to stay in the application for very long here. booltest.cs but or exe, but that doesn't work on Linux. We need to append mono, and the same goes probably for Mac users. And it writes false. And that's true, that it is false. Control C. Control C kills the application in Linux. I'm not sure if it does it in Windows, but I guess it will. So now we change its state, and here you see, we are going to talk a little bit more. Our test equals true. You remember we flicked the lever in Minecraft, and console right line and convert to string our test, and like that. And here we use the semicolon, and you see I use semicolon in all of these, the end of all of these, and that tells the computer it's your command is done and you can start a new command. If you don't use these, you will get errors. As you see here, when we talked about functions, we said you put in something and you get something out the other end. and in this case we haven't put anything into the function. It actually does all this by just calling it. And here what it does is it creates a Boolean named our test. It initializes the application. It tells the console, aka your command prompt or terminal, to write a line that converts to a readable format our test, which was a Boolean. And then we tell it that our test was false. Now we want it to be true and write it out once again. And this time this should actually be true then, shouldn't it? So what we do is we go in here, we delete our nice little program, and we go back to the terminal or command prompt where we write this line like that, and we see an error. And we see why it is an error, because we said out instead of our. And this sort of things is very important in programming, that you spell it right, otherwise you will get those kind of things. And now it compiles perfectly. And if you then were on a Windows computer, yes, you would write this bool test.cs. It's a little bit simpler because C# is made out of Microsoft, and yeah, that's why Windows user will have an easier time with this. Does not need to tell the computer about what package and so on. And then we write either the program name if you're a Windows user, or if you are on another platform, mono bool test.exe. And now it prints false true. And that concludes this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and tell me what you thought about it. If you liked it, please leave a like, and otherwise tell me what you think I should be, if I should cancel the series, or if you're interested in more of these. Or if I'm going to need to change something, you feel like I should do something a bit different, please tell me that in the comments. Otherwise, we continue like this, and next time we talk more about types. And the important thing of today's lesson was to learn what a bool is. Not all of these we have gone through. These are a little bit later in the tutorial. We're going to go a bit closer on them. Well, that was it for this time, guys. See you next time. Bye bye.